All right, we're live, guys, so, but we won't say anything. Assalamu alaikum, ISCJ community. We'll get started in 1 minute, inshallah. I know a lot of people are jumping on onto the YouTube chat, so I see that. So inshallah, we will get started. And let's say about 30 seconds. Started. And let's say about 30 seconds. And let's say about 30 seconds. All right. Assalamu alaikum, ISCJ community. Welcome to ISCJ YouTube channel. Today, inshallah, we're going to provide ISCJ updates. We have with us today ISCJ President, ISCJ Chairman. We have the leaders of ISCJ LIT, ISCJ Quran Academy, and the ISCJ Weekend School. Alhamdulillah. So I know there's been a lot of things going on, and every day we're trying to provide you relevant and useful and beneficial programming in a variety of different ways, and we hope that everyone finds it useful. Today, we're going to get started with a Quran recitation from our Quran Academy Director, Sheikh Ashur, inshallah. Sheikh Ashur.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم كل من الأرض ومن فيها إن كنتم تعلمون سيقولون لله قل أفلا تذكرون قل من رب السماوات السبع ورب العرش العظيم سيقولون لله قل أفلا تتقون قل من بيده ملكوت كل شيء وهو يجير ولا يجار عليه إن كنتم تعلمون سيقولون لله قل فأنى تسحرون بل أتيناهم بالحق وإنهم لكاذبون ما اتخذ الله من ولد وما كان معه من إله إذا لذهب كل إله بما خلق ولعلى بعضهم على بعض سبحان الله عما يصفون عالم الغيب والشهادة فتعالى عما يشركون قل رب إما تريني ما يوعدون رب فلا تجعلني في القوم الظالمين وإنا على أن نريك ما نعدهم لقادرون ادفع بالتي هي أحسن السيئة نحن أعلم بما يصفون وقل رب أعوذ بك من همزات الشياطين وأعوذ بك رب أن يحضرون حتى إذا جاء أحدهم الموت قال رب ارجعون لعلي أعمل صالحا فيما تركت كلا إنها كلمة هو قائلها ومن ورائهم برزخ إلى يوم يبعثون فإذا نفخ في الصور فلا أنساب بينهم يومئذ ولا يتساءلون من ثقلت موازينه فأولئك هم المفلحون ومن خفت موازينه فأولئك الذين خسروا أنفسهم في جهنم خالدون تلفح وجوههم النار وهم فيها كالحون ألم تكن آياتي تتلى عليكم فكنتم بها تكذبون قالوا ربنا غلبت علينا شقوتنا وكنا قوما ضالين ربنا أخرجنا منها فإن عدنا فإنا ظالمون قال اخسئوا فيها ولا تكلمون إنه كان فريق من عبادي يقولون ربنا آمنا فاغفر لنا وارحمنا وأنت خير الراحمين فاتخذتموهم سخريا حتى أنسوكم ذكري وكنتم منهم تضحكون إني جزيتهم اليوم بما صبروا أنهم هم الفائزون قال كم لبثتم في الأرض عدد سنين قالوا لبثنا يوما أو بعض يوم فاسأل العادين قال إن لبثتم إلا قليلا لو أنكم كنتم تعلمون أفحسبتم أنما خلقناكم عبثا وأنكم إلينا لا ترجعون فتعالى الله الملك الحق لا إله إلا هو رب العرش الكريم ومن يدع مع الله إلها آخر لا برهان له به فإنما حسابه عند ربه إنه لا يفلح الكافرون وقل رب اغفر وارحم وأنت خير الراحمين صدق الله العظيم.
Thank you, Sheikh Ashur, for reading from Surah Al-Mu'minun. Just for the audience, is Dr. Ahmed has committed to me that he will do a translation at some point of this because we cannot do it in 5 minutes here, but it requires a whole session on that. And so one of his upcoming recordings, maybe in the next 7 to 10 days, he'll cover what Sheikh Ashur recited, inshallah. With that being said, since we heard from Sheikh Ashur, as we know, he's the director of our Quran Academy, mashallah. He's now into year 2 of the Quran Academy with us at ISCJ. I'm going to ask the other panelists to go on mute. Maybe I hear some feedback. I don't know if it's just to me or not, but if you go on mute, and then when we're ready for you, we'll unmute you, inshallah. Sheikh Ashur, So tell us about Quran Academy in the past 2-3 weeks. How have you guys transitioned into this new virtual space? And just tell us not only the logistics, but how is it the students are feeling about this? How are you feeling about this? And talk us through this, what Quran Academy is going through, this transformation.
طيب بسم الله الحمد لله وصلى الله وسلم وبارك على سيدنا رسول الله وعلى آله وصحبه ومن والاه. So first, Quran Academy this year is different than last year because we have established some programs, some new classes. We started classes for reading only, and we have 2 levels for reading. We have Nadira 1 and we have Nadira 2. Alhamdulillah, we have like 1/3 students. We have a new teacher, a female teacher, Sheikh Mayada, and she has her own students too. We have added this year full-time Quran memorization classes. We have part-time Quran memorization classes. So we have different classes. Only reading number 2, Nadira number 2, which we teach Tajweed and reading also. Alhamdulillah, we're doing well from the beginning of the year. When that happened, like 2 weeks ago, we decided to move to Zoom. We have same classes in same time. Nothing changed. Only we had like 2 days. We were off March 14 and 15 to train ourselves and how to use the Zoom. And Alhamdulillah, Rabbil Alameen, the kids are doing good. It's the same like a classroom, like the classroom. The only thing was a little bit different, the Nadira 1 and Nadira 2. But Alhamdulillah, we figured out somehow to continue, inshallah, teaching the kids and the improving and the moving, Alhamdulillah, as in the classroom.
Alhamdulillah. Thank you, Sheikh Ashur. And this is also, I see it in the chat too, is, okay, so the first question that's come in, Sheikh Ashur, is, we're coming into the April timeframe, and a lot of times we were already talking about summer registration and the fall registration. Is that in the works right now, or right now is everything kind of on hold for the summer program?
No, summer program.
Registration?
Summer program, we had successful summer program last year because we did with Dr. Ahmed. We combined LIT with Quran Academy summer program, and we're doing, inshallah, this year same program, and we added some new programs, inshallah. We had like 3 meetings in last month. We're working on that, inshallah, and the registration will open very soon, inshallah. And also we're working in the new year, inshallah, next year for our Quran Academy. Inshallah, the registration will be hopefully in May, inshallah, in the beginning of May.
Inshallah.
Or sooner, inshallah.
Inshallah. Sheikh Ashur, you're doing the teaching via Zoom or something else?
Yes, we're using Zoom.
Okay, and that's and the parents and the students are okay with it?
Yeah, alhamdulillah.
Okay, alhamdulillah.
Yeah, alhamdulillah.
All right. Anything else from Quran Academy you want to mention or highlight right now?
Inshallah, we with Dr. Ahmed, we will doing Ramadan program like we did last year, and we have summer program is coming soon, inshallah, and next year, inshallah, we'll continue, inshallah.
Inshallah. Okay. Sheikh Ashur, later on, I might come back to you if we get more questions from the audience.
Inshallah.
A request for the panelists. I think I know what the echo is. You might have the YouTube channel open on your same laptop. If you do, you need to close the YouTube. Just keep Zoom open.
No, I don't have it.
That might be the feedbacks.
All right, inshallah.
Inshallah. All right. Okay. All right, Sheikh Ashur, thank you so much. Let's move on to Dr. Ahmed, and let's talk about LIT. For those that don't know LIT, LIT stands for Learning Islam Together. And Dr. Ahmed has been doing this for now, I want to say almost, this might be the start of year 3 in the next month, inshallah. Time goes by so quick, and the positive difference and impact that you've made on the youth and the young and the adults, I think is, you cannot quantify, but I do know that you made that tangible difference. So may Allah reward you and the entire team. I know there's a team supporting you, And same thing for Sheikh Ashur. I should have mentioned that, because I know Sheikh Ashur has a whole team and a committee behind supporting him, and none of this is possible without their help. So, Dr. Ahmed, I'll give you the floor now.
السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين. والصلاة والسلام على نبينا محمد وعلى آله وأصحابه أجمعين. من تبعهم بإحسان إلى يوم الدين أما بعد. جزاكم الله خير for the introduction. So in terms of, I'm gonna guess what we're doing right now, how we transitioned. So alhamdulillah, we've been able to a lot of our programs transition them into Zoom. So we're using the same online program. It took us a bit of a time to kind of reschedule it. But subhanAllah, we're running like essentially about different programs actually. So we have 7 programs that require registration. So whether they range, they're kind of divided between middle school and high school, and then like young adults. So for example, our weekly we have 2 sessions, for example, for the middle schoolers. So that's our Dean for Teens program that usually runs Mondays and Wednesdays. So all we did, alhamdulillah, was just transition them to the online classes in the same time. So it'll be scheduled usually at the same time we usually start. Similar to the high school advanced level 1 and advanced level 2. So those are like 2 other classes. They're still being kept at the same time. We did shift them a little bit because rather than starting early on Sunday, we kind of switched the times a little bit. So hopefully to make it easier for the students. SubhanAllah, however, we did notice that people still show up late, even though we're at home. It's kind of interesting. I would assume that we always be on time. It's much easier. Like the excuses were before, oh, my dad was late or my mom was late or whatever the case is. But subhanallah, alhamdulillah. And then we also have the Ajbal program, which is the middle school social program, and also the Qawarir, the girls middle school program. To be honest, we were kind of concerned about the Ajbal program, how we're going to switch that to online, because we tend to have a lot of activities, on-hand activities, and then we'd have our small talk. But subhanallah, last week we ran our last Friday we ran it online, and we were able to, mashallah, the group that the brothers, the young brothers who were helping me with the program, mashallah, they were very creative in designing or coming up with a game, right, an engaging game that we're able to divide into groups. And alhamdulillah, I thought it was really great, because I was worried that some of the participants will get bored. But alhamdulillah, it was really good. And alhamdulillah, I'm thinking of maybe there's a lot of things we can do online that can be a bit creative, so that we don't stop this kind of gathering together that we have for the middle school boys and for the middle school girls. And the last program that we usually running that requires registration was more for the high school, college girls, and that is also still running online, alhamdulillah. Now, in terms of general programs, I had to resort to a bit more of pre-recorded things, and inshallah to post it online. And actually, you know what? We do have a live session. I forgot about that. We just had that one today. So we came up with a platform, a joint program with Sheikh Farhan, Jazakallah khair. And it's for the youth, to provide a platform for them to kind of talk and discuss things at the time that we're in. And the program is called Life Under Quarantine. And it's mainly for the youth, so no parents allowed, even in the background. We're meeting 3 times a week, just to give the youth a chance to discuss things. And alhamdulillah, it's a good venue for them to kind of talk about it. It's almost like a talk show. I really enjoy it. So alhamdulillah, that was kind of nice. So that's running 3 times a week. Now the other ones are a bit more recorded. So the one, alhamdulillah, that we started was the Friday Gems. And that one, I started with the title of A Mercy in Disguise, of more of looking at what's going on from a optimistic, as the glass is half full as opposed to half empty, and how, subhanallah, this can be a source of mercy for us from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And so we started that last Friday. Hopefully, inshallah, the next one will be recorded and releasing soon. Other than that, obviously I've been busy, online, answering, a lot of the questions from the youth and texts. But there are a couple other programs, hopefully, inshallah, we're going to start. Considering that Ramadan is coming up soon, still working on the recording of, a quick recap of the fiqh aspect of Ramadan. I guess we can call it fiqh bits of fasting. Hopefully, inshallah, that will be released soon. And then also maybe more of a spiritual one, a road to Ramadan, that's still also in production. So alhamdulillah, we're still working on a few things from the lit perspective to hopefully keep us spiritually engaged. getting the most benefit out of this, inshallah. So at least when we hit Ramadan, we have accomplished, covered a lot of grounds that would enable us to take as much advantage of it. And I ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, hopefully before then, that all this will be lifted. If not, then hopefully inshallah before Ramadan ends, bi'idhnillah. But I guess that's all we have in terms of lit that's going on, inshallah. I don't know if
Dr.
anything
Ahmed,
else. Yes.
Dr. Ahmed, you're saying that's all? That's a lot.
Oh, that is. Alhamdulillah,
Subhanallah,
alhamdulillah,
mashallah.
alhamdulillah.
So for the audience, that you might not realize it, right? And maybe it is. Maybe it is obvious, but it wasn't obvious to me. So I'll be, the person that says I didn't know, is that you're already doing a lot of things since the physical masjid closed down, but it's specifically for your existing classes. So there's already a registration, there's already enrollment. So it's not necessarily that we would advertise that to the larger audience. And then the second part of it is, when I say the larger audience, meaning the parents or adults, because a lot of the marketing you're doing directly with teenagers, directly, like the Life Under Quarantine, which you're doing with Sheikh Irfan. And for those that know Sheikh Irfan, this is a collaboration with the Ford's Masjid and CNJ, mashallah, and that Dr. Ahmed and Sheikh Irfan are working together. And it's the youth from that community and the youth from our group. And they're in this no parent zone, right? And they're talking about just different things. And I don't know, Dr. Ahmed, if there's any anecdote, without giving away anything private, that was maybe discussed. But before we started today's session, you mentioned how the kids themselves are the ones driving the conversation, right?
Yes.
It's not,
yes.
You're not coming with topics prearranged. And
so
is
we
there
do.
something you could give an example so the parents get an understanding of the topics that are coming up?
So generally, obviously, there is you always have to have some sort of a backup topic in case the audience is not they're sleeping. But subhanallah, the last couple of times it was really the youth themselves that have been driving it. So I'll tell you something about the first session, right? So I asked so how's every doing, and you guys tell me what's going on. And so I said how have you been doing since this started? So one of the participants, they said that, well, ever since I started this, I find myself very productive, right? And so he started on a very positive note. So we started the entire session. Okay, let's talk about each person say something positive about what's happening, right? And this is the all optimistic aspect, because subhanallah, when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala created everything, there's no such thing as pure negative. There's always some positive aspect to it, one way or another. We just have to look for it. And so the session started there, but also we had to kind of discuss the other side. So they were also driving this. So we said, okay, let's each person say something negative, right, of what's happening. And of course, we started by myself and Sheikh Farhan, because participants are negative. Should we say something negative or not? We're kind of worried about this. So we all obviously Sheikh Farhan said something negative and I said something negative that we experienced that's a bit different. So that was the first session. The second session was also driven by them, and it started about what should we do with our time, right? Or how to cross it. So these are all beautiful aspects or topics which are important. And whether we know it or not, the beautiful thing that I find is that they themselves as young individuals are actually thinking about it, although it might not seem apparent. To us, maybe sometimes we just think, why are they just sitting on the couch, right, or doing nothing? But in reality, they might be thinking about it. They might be bored about it. But alhamdulillah, at least in this platform, it kind of brings that out a little bit. So this is really the way we design it. It is for them, okay? And the other topics we have are just backup, just in case this doesn't work out. But alhamdulillah, so far it's been good.
Okay, alhamdulillah. Dr. Ahmed, is there any advice you can give the parents that are watching this and listening to this right now in terms of their kids and, the way they're interacting with them right now in this environment? Is there any something tangible that they could take away and act on?
Well, to be honest, this is something I also advise myself, right? To really take this opportunity, subhanAllah, I think it's a blessing that we are all at home, right? And it's a good time for us to really utilize it to come back together as a family and participate in doing a lot of things. And rather than telling ourselves or them to kind of do something useful, let's us kind of do something that is useful, take charge of it. Even do small gatherings, right? It's bring blessings to the house, whether it's bring back in terms of reciting the Quran a bit together, even for 5 minutes a day, right? Or making dua together, or the adhkar in the morning or in the evenings. Those are beautiful things that will bring that connection together, but will also keep us occupied, right? Even if it's like, schedule a game or whatever the case is, right? So that hopefully, inshallah, we can pry each other away from our phones, from our screens and all these things, because these things tend to take us away from our family. So hopefully, inshallah, I really recommend that we design some sort of or come up with some things that we can do together that does not involve our phones or anything else, or even if they do involve our phones, that'll be something beneficial, useful, that brings us all together.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you, Dr. Ahmed. Dr. Ahmed, also I wanted to ask you was, a couple of people have asked in the chat, the attendance. Have you, and Sheikh Ashur, I'll come back to you a little bit later. Two people I noticed that are asking, has there been any reduction in attendance from a virtual standpoint? Or is the same attendance still there? Has there been also any technical challenges? Are people, I know most of the kids are pretty comfortable with technology, but maybe some of the younger ones, I don't know if they need their parental involvement. Has that all worked out from your side?
From technical difficulties, subhanAllah, we haven't had any. Actually, contrary, had the opposite. MashaAllah, they're pretty savvy with it. They keep changing the background. They keep doing all these things. I sometimes have to pause a little bit and say, all right, stop playing with the technology. But mashallah, alhamdulillah, we haven't had any problems on the connection. Now, in terms of attendance, our register classes are pretty much usually the same. Yes, a couple of classes they were down, and I'm thinking after the class I get texts from parents oh, we forgot about it. So I think I'm gonna have to start sending reminders, email reminders that you have classes. but generally speaking, it was okay. It's not bad, alhamdulillah.
Alhamdulillah. All right, so Dr. Ahmed, thank you so much. We might circle back. Let's see what the other questions are. But just to recap, you do have, things are already in progress. Things are being planned for the next few weeks and stuff in preparation for Ramadan, inshallah.
Yes, sure.
Okay. All right. We will now move, inshallah, to Brother Osama, the chairman of ISCJ Weekend School. Brother Osama, assalamu alaikum. How are you?
Good, alhamdulillah. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
All right. So, Brother Osama, I'm going to give you the floor and, talk to the community about Weekend School.
All right. Thank you, Brother Arif. I ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to guide us to the right path and protect us and the entire Muslim community, inshallah. And I hope everyone is safe and healthy during this time. Definitely what we're experiencing now has been a challenge at all levels, both personal and from our community overall. And I want to take this opportunity to thank the Weekend School families and the larger ISCJ community for all their support and their understanding during this past time. So when this situation first emerged, our main objective was to keep our students, teachers, volunteers, and Weekend School families safe. So as a reminder, we have roughly about close to 800 people that attend or come to the ISCJ campus every weekend to attend the Weekend School between students, their families, and the teachers and the volunteers. So we wanted to play our role in making sure that we're not enabling the spread of the virus or anything like that. So with that, we took the immediate decision with coordination with Brother Muhammad and ISCJ board to close the school. And when we realized that things are going to take longer than anticipated, and it was clear for us that the duration is going to be much longer than what we anticipated, we started to work through a remote learning program. We are fortunate, alhamdulillah, that we have very talented members of our community, and especially having someone like Brother Waqas or Sister Annie, who are also members of the Weekend School Committee. They took the lead on setting up a remote learning process for us on the Weekend School. So we wanted to make sure that although we're not attending Weekend School in person, that people will still be able to reach out and there's some sort of a communication that will be going during the same time that we had the Weekend School scheduled for the weekend. So with that, we utilized Google Classroom, and Brother Waqas was able to set up students and teacher accounts. He did set up roughly about 800 accounts with ISCJ accounts to be able to access Google Classroom. And we did provide.
Can I pause you right there? I think we need to emphasize that for the community. 800 accounts. That's not a mispronunciation. 800. Can you imagine the amount of time and effort required? MashaAllah.
Brother Waqas did a great job.
MashaAllah.
And we did provide a lot of inline training sessions, and we did also put together a guide, a step-by-step guide to be able to provide it to both our teachers and the students to be able to know how to use Google Classroom. As we all anticipate, the students are much more savvy than all of us in terms of how they can use Google Classroom, and things were working pretty well. But our experience so far here is pretty much not any different than the experience from rolling anything new. You have a lot of questions, you have a lot of things that you learn as you roll something new, and we've been, alhamdulillah, working through it, trying to address it, and trying to work through some of those learnings as we move forward. We also been able to identify some of our students who are very tech savvy, and they've been a really great resource for us to work through the technical questions. So overall, we've seen the number of questions decline week over week. We've been actually in the remote learning process for the past 2 weeks, and we've seen the questions decline week over week. We also saw the teachers getting more comfortable with the Google Classroom and the process and posting a lot online. And the students has been responding pretty well as well. So our next step from here will be starting this week, inshallah. We'll be also having online live classroom sessions. We're going to start with the Quran teachers, where they will host about 45 minutes of live Google Meet classrooms. And as we go forward, we'll see how this goes, and eventually, inshallah, we'll be able to expand it for anything else if the experience is positive, both for the teachers as well as for the students. So in terms of other key activities for the weekend school, we were fortunate to have completed our quiz competition and reading competition before the shutdown, so alhamdulillah for that. But given the current situation and after much consideration and discussion, we did decide that best path forward would be to cancel this year's memorization competition. It's unfortunate, but we do have a lot of judges who are, they come from different parts of the state, and just with their age, we did not want to expose them to having to do anything that will put them at risk. So we decided to cancel the memorization competition. If I have a few more minutes, I would like to give a couple more updates.
Yeah, please, Osama, go ahead.
So in terms of registration, usually registration for next year starts in late April. We are working on online registration process right now, and you will hear more about it in the coming week. Also graduation right now, we still have graduation scheduled for early June, June 7th to be specific. So for now, we're still holding the graduation as is. We're gonna continue to monitor, and we'll see what's gonna happen, and we'll provide an update. Also, we're planning this week to send out a communication. So far, our communication said that we're gonna be closed only for about 2 weeks, going back April 4th. Obviously, this is not gonna be the situation, so we're gonna send a communication this week to the entire community, extending the school closure, which will continue again to monitor the situation, align with the ISCJ board and Nur Iman and other facilities around us to be able to do the right thing. So there's a lot going on from our perspective. Again, this is, I'll call it uncharted territory for many of us, and we're trying to navigate our way through it and learn through it. I do want to thank our weekend school committee members, and I want to just go through because there's a lot of people go and do a lot of work behind the scenes. So Brother Dilawar, Brother Haitham, Brother Waqas, Brother Zag, Sister Annie, and Brother Dar, they're all been working very hard behind the scenes to be able to get this moving. And also our principals, Sister Shayma, Sister Anisa, Sister Maha, and Sister Asma, they're all been doing a lot of work also behind the scenes to keep the communication going with the teachers. And finally, I want to thank our teacher and students for working through this and work through the situation and bearing sort of the challenges with us as we move forward. And last thing I want to say, I do miss the weekend school. I do, there's a big element of that weekend school was an education element, but there was a bigger element, which was the community build that we used to have every weekend. And I do miss seeing the students interact with each other and playing soccer or basketball during the break. I do miss seeing the parents hanging out and the engagement of our PTA volunteers. But we're a resilient community, and we'll get through this, inshallah, together. And may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala keep us all safe and healthy. So that's all I had here, Brother Arif.
Thank you, Osama. I know you're trying to pack in a lot of information for the community in a short amount of time. You did a wonderful job. I do have a couple of questions that come in specifically for weekend school. So number one is, do you have any technology needs that you're not able to meet right now? That's one question to effectively conduct the classes.
Yeah, so far actually it's been right now Google Classroom has been very helpful and has been a pretty good platform for us. We've had some challenges. Some of it were users challenges, some of it was setup challenges as we were going through it. But again, as I said, it was one of those things we've been through it for 2 weeks. You've seen the ramp down in terms of the questions that's coming in. First week was, I think my phone was lighting up with a different message from WhatsApp with people having challenges to get in. And I think by the second week, I think it was much less. So we're working through it from that perspective.
Alhamdulillah. And then the second question that I see here in the chat, Osama, is obviously weekend school is a large operation. There's a Saturday component, a Sunday component, and there's an army of volunteers. Just so people get an idea, is how many volunteers are part of weekend school, not just committee members, and how many subcommittees are there?
Yeah, so we have roughly so I'll start big picture. Big picture, we have roughly about over 500 students that come in both on the Saturday and Sunday session. From a teacher's perspective, we have over 200 plus teachers for both Saturday and Sunday sessions and assistant teachers. And one of the things that we did implement as well a couple of years back, which is we opened up the opportunity for all our ninth graders, specifically ninth graders, sometimes also extend to eighth graders on Sunday, to come back after they finish their weekend school, which that goes only up to ninth grade. So we open up the opportunity for all of them to come back and join the community and volunteer. So we open up the doors for all of them to come back. So there's a fair amount of I'll call the youth who's in between finishing ninth grade and before they get busy with college, they come back and volunteer in different capacity, which I think it was a great opportunity for us to keep them engaged within the community and keeping them coming back to ISCJ.
Wonderful. Thank you, Osama, for answering that. All right, we will now shift and transition to our chairman of Islamic Society of Central Jersey, Brother Magdi Haggag. Magdi, can you hear us? You see us? We see you.
Yes.
So the virtual floor is yours. Please communicate, talk to the community, whatever you want to talk about as the chairman of ISCJ.
Jazakallah khair, Brother Arif, and may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala reward you and reward all the volunteers and the board member of ISCJ. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, alhamdulillah, wa salatu wa salamu ala rasulillah wa ala alihi wa sahbihi wa man wala. I think what we've heard from Dr. Ahmed, Sheikh Ahmed Ashur, Brother Osama, and many of the wonderful volunteers that came across this, ISCJ-TV in the last few weeks actually makes my job and Brother Muhammad Ashraf's job and the entire board of trustees really easy, because without all those volunteers, without all those brothers and sisters in ISCJ community, things doesn't come across as easy as it should be, but it is with all your help, and it is with all the volunteers, and it is because of every single member who comes and goes. As far as the board of trustees is concerned, yes, it is a very heavy responsibility. In fact, when Brother Muhammad Ashraf and the rest of the board of trustees, along with the larger Central Jersey community leaders and members of different masajid, when we came together to decide whether we close the community activities or not, especially when it comes to Salat al-Jum'ah, where many of us have this congregation prayer dear and near to our hearts, it was something that no one had actually fathomed to imagine. It was not an easy decision, but yet, Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen, with the leadership of Brother Ashraf and others, we were able to make that decision for nothing but for the safety of the community. And there is too many ahadith that actually can support the decision that we've made. And at the end of the day, we always ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to obviously accept our decision, right or wrong, because there's no absolute right and there's no absolute wrong. We all kind of like do the best we can for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and for the sake of our community, and to serve the larger community, not only the Muslim community, but the community at large. Obviously, the board is being faced with so many decisions that we had to make, and we will make, inshallah ta'ala, in the upcoming meetings. One of them, do we hold the general body meeting or not? Obviously, the decision is pretty much made, but it will be official once we get together this Sunday in our meeting. Brother Ashraf Jazallah Khair called for several emergency meeting that all of us were able to get together and kind of debate decisions and whatnot. Financial hardship that will very soon, unfortunately, face the community. Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar. We'll pause here for a minute, inshallah ta'ala, so we can all listen to that then. أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله. أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله. أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله. أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله. لا حول ولا قوة إلا بالله العلي العظيم. 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 الله أكبر، الله أكبر. Um, uh, Brother Arif, this is something that we're all missing, that wonderful event that we experience and gather together in Salat al-Jum'ah, as I was saying, and Salat al-Isha and whatnot. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, like Dr. Ahmed said, is giving us a pause, giving us a moment to reflect. But back again, and I'm going to finish very soon, so I don't steal a lot of the thunder from Brother Ashraf, Jazallah khair. We're saving the best for last, Brother Ashraf. So obviously, there's so many activity that is going on as far as the board is concerned. First and foremost, as I was saying, the financial hardship and impact, but I'm pretty sure we as a community will get together, inshallah ta'ala, we'll go through it. The expansion that it's going, the master plan approval that now it's been put on hold because the township is obviously out of commission and out of business for a while, been coordinating a lot with our attorney and our engineer to see when and how this zoning board meeting will be rescheduled again. But again, I want to take that 1 minute to thank every and each board member for dedication, for their time. So the Board of Overseas for their leadership and their dedication and their time as well that they put into this community and everything else that we do. And inshallah ta'ala, I'm going to pause here and pass it on to you, Arif and Brother Ashraf, so we can have time for questions and answers, inshallah ta'ala.
Magdi, before I let you go, I have one question that came in that you have to answer. So the question came in was, they wanted to make sure that how's Mustafa doing, and he's practicing his soccer.
Well, Mustafa cannot get away from soccer, so alhamdulillah, he's doing well. Jazakallah khair for those who are asking. And yes, he's on the top of his game, inshallah.
Alhamdulillah. Okay. All right, so the community knows Mustafa's on top of his game, mashallah. All right, so we might circle back to you, Magdi. Let's see what other questions we get once we finish with the President, Muhammad Ashraf. Assalamu alaikum, Ashraf Uncle. And you're up now, so you can. The community wants to hear from you.
Auzu billahi minash shaitanir rajeem. Bismillahir rahmanir rahim. Sure. These are very difficult times. I wish that we had been. This kind of a meeting would have been in a session where we see each other. We are sitting at the same place, and that was the moment that has to come on April 19th. Which is the general body meeting, which gives us the facility and the occasion that we see each other, we meet each other, and make decisions for the society for the coming year. But alhamdulillah, it's not happening that way. But I feel that our community is a wonderful community. What you have heard from the Brother Ahmed, Brother Ashur, Brother Magdi, Brother Osama, this is the lifeline of this society. Each and every one has a place in this society where we can use our expertise, our education, our knowledge, and I don't want to exclude Brother Hamad also, because he had been coming online and he is also, I see him, he is now our techie imam, I mean, you see his emails coming in. He's our official photographer also. He goes around the masjid and takes pictures. Grass is going too high. The water is leaking from there. So alhamdulillah, this is what you need in a community, and we have, inshallah. We have been seeing this for almost 50 years, 40 years, as long as we are involved with ISCJ, that there is a vigor, there is a cooperation, there is a love of doing things for the subhanahu wa ta'ala. Coming back, of course, masjid was shut down for all the activities, and as Brother Magdi mentioned, these decisions are not easy. These are very emotional decisions, and sometimes certain imams don't help on that either. Okay, so there's a divide somewhere. The first meeting that I attended with the MCGP, I could sense that heat coming from each direction, when we were saying we should close and not close. But alhamdulillah, the decision was made. And our community, believe me, has a different understanding of things. They easily go with the management there, whether it's imam or the board, and we don't have to fight too much. But I hear and I see happening at certain other masajid that things don't go that easy. But alhamdulillah, all the activity of the masjid are shut down. But however, there are some individuals which have been authorized to go into the masjid to look around what's going on there, safety-wise, and we have heat, cold water, everything, and we have to pay checks. So we still have a zakat committee churning on the checks. We have to pay to our vendors, so that process going on. Brother Iqbal and Brother Sayyid, we have a arrangement that they put the checks in a bag, they leave in front of my door. I pick it up. Next morning they come in and they take. I say, I'm not going to allow you to come into my house. So for your safety and my son, so it's working okay. I think it's worthwhile saying, even though the masjid is shut down, but all our employees are being paid. This is the amana that we have to do. And inshallah, we can we'll keep on doing as long as we can support this. The elections, which were supposed to come on April 19th, as Brother Magdi said, they will be postponed, and a new date will come in. And that may be another opportunity for those people who did not accept the candidacy. Maybe I'll ask the overseers probably that they can open it up again and bring more people, because I heard that we have very few candidates there, okay? So I would like to see that, and I am requesting all of you to volunteer some of the people so that we should have a good competition there. Ramadan, of course, is very sad. It is not going to happen. I can say that one because if you follow the lines of the federal government and the local and states, their deadlines are up to April 30th or something like this. Some even going past that one. But Allah knows the best. We will be ready, inshallah. If things change, we don't have to make any big arrangements. We can do it. And we just hope that things get better and we have a Ramadan in our masjid. The construction is right now shut down. People are not. I think there was some work going on that some people got sick, and then we are very close to getting our TCO. Very, very close. And now, as Brother Mufti mentioned, that the township will be. Oh yeah, I see a picture now here, right? And that's good. Yeah, look at this one, nice straight, and then left and right is nothing there right now. So I think within a week or so, it will begin again. At least they will put the paving all around, because and the rain. This is another thing that every day almost is raining, and most of the work, as all of you probably know, from inside is completed. The elevator is there. We have carpets lying in the corner somewhere there. Look at the picture on the second floor. This is one of the rooms which is for the seniors and for the youngsters. So the nice chandeliers which our contractor has donated to the masjid. Alhamdulillah, that's a good gesture. The floor, and it looks very beautiful. When you get a chance to get in, mashallah, this will look very, very nice. When the carpet comes in, carpet is already delivered. And we decided that we may delay laying down the carpet because of the situation, that we don't want that anything happens to that carpet during these days. So we'll have that time, inshallah, when the carpet will be laid down, but it's already on the side there. Apart from that, when you come at the end, you know, you really, your job is easy because you don't have to say too much. Things have already been paved for you. I really appreciate Dr. Ahmed Muhammad and Brother Osama and Brother Ashur and their committees. I tell you, this is a fantastic work they have done. I think Brother Osama, you didn't mention it, but maybe slipped out of your mind. You have another challenge, that is your online, what you call registration. I see some correspondence going on that. This will be a challenge. What system to pick and where to charge, whether it should be PayPal or something else. And I think that's a good discussion because we are giving a lot of money to these credit card companies, and you know, for when we get donation with the cards and whatnot. So I think we should look into very, very cleverly and closely that we pick a way that we don't have to give the fee when people pay to us with the credit cards. So I really appreciate all of the board members, of course, all the committees, our staff, Imam, all the Imams, and the community at large. We are here to serve you. Whoever is listening or may watch this video later on, we are very thankful to you. And as you know that the masjid is shut down, all those collection boxes are empty there. Ramadan is one of the months that we have usually dedicate for the collection for the operation as well as the ongoing construction. And if it doesn't happen, you are still around, mashallah. You are working, you are healthy, and may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala keep your families healthy and well. So during that month or before that, don't hesitate to send your donation to ISCJ. You don't have to be in the masjid to do that. And I will say that during these days, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will give you more barakah if you take care of this society, of your community. So again, at the end, I'm very thankful to all of you and your team. I think this is one of the wonderful process that you guys have started, and may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give you the strength to keep on doing it, because I hear a lot of good things about these programs. People are watching it. I watched myself the other day with the Brother Hammond going back to Beirut, and his picture that he had in a high school picture. That was very interesting. So these opportunities are very good for us to be talking to each other. If we can meet it, at least we can have these gatherings over the internet or whatever means whether we use what they call it, Cisco system, WebEx, or the this one, the one we are using right now. So that's what from me. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ashraf Uncle. All right, so I'm going to open it up to the floor here in case I do see a couple of questions here. I think they were answered, but just to recap, one is obviously there's going to be Ramadan challenges. So we know that, and when Ramadan comes along, you know, as we get closer to Ramadan, we'll know a little bit more, and we'll come up with programming or different things that we can do. Imam Shibli has already said that you know, a virtual Taraweeh is not permissible, and all the scholars have also said the same thing. Construction update was given, but just Magdi, you can correct me, Magdi, but right now everything, we cannot give any type of estimate on a TCO, even if the construction is done. Is that correct?
That's actually correct, Brother Arif. In fact, I did actually text with some of the township officials without being specific today to see when are they coming back, how are they opening, or can they do an inspection or not. The issue here is there's 2 inspection left to do. and we were not being able to get the inspector from the township to complete these inspections. And even if they came on site and completed these inspections, which sometimes they can do because construction is considered by the governor to be essential, the paperwork in the township itself would be a challenge because no one goes to the offices to finish paperwork. So the short answer is we're trying, but we do not have a specific date that we can really give.
Inshallah. Thank you, Magdi. And then I want to go back to Ashraf, Uncle, is the operational budget. There's a question on that. The assumption is, and you did mention it, that we're going to be short right now because we're just not, people aren't coming to the masjid. I'm assuming there's some planning or mechanism behind the scenes with the board and maybe endowment and EFG type teams to get them out there at some point. If you want to talk to that, or still planning stages or discussion stages.
No, I think I saw a couple of emails. We have not discussed it. Maybe in this coming Sunday when the board meets, we'll have some direction. But even before that, I think we had a discussion how to approach, whether it's a good time to ask the families, because these are difficult times. Some people are worried and certain things are happening in some families. We hear here and there that there are people who are sick, or they may not be feeling well or whatever. So I think people realize it. We don't have to go too hard on them. I think they will realize themselves that, and they know it. For years we had been this practice that the money we have, the collection boxes, we collect the money from there because that's a part of our budget. 1/3, half of the donations is ISCJ's operational budget. So that money has to come from somewhere. And I will say that if we don't get the relief from people, we'll be like $250,000 short in our budget. I can see that. I glanced it for the 2 months that passed away. We have difficulty already there. And when we go to April and May, we don't know how long this is going to go. So I will really, will find a way. And you're part of the fundraising committee. I think the same committee should take the lead and come to the board and give us the idea of how we should go by, whether we should have some sort of a, what they call them, the on the phone, or sending letters, things like that.
Sure.
So we are open all the means how we can approach our brothers and sisters.
Inshallah. And Brother Osama, one person sneaked in a weekend school question for you.
All right.
And this will be the last question. Osama, somebody asked, when will the website be rolling out for weekend school? So is that, maybe that might be in reference to the registration that you were talking about?
I think maybe the registration. So we're working through right now with a system that's sort of being developed and been used by a couple of other weekend schools, mainly on the West Coast, that we're working through to be able to roll for us here. So it's called self-developed by a smaller firm that we're working through. One of the things that we're working through right now is just making sure that this system will be meeting our needs for what we wanted from our registration. And I think Brother Muhammad Ashraf touched on a key point, which is the payment and how you get the payment the most efficient way possible. The other part is we do get a lot of information, and we want to make sure that the information is going to be stored in a secured way. And I think some of our tech, I'll call it experts, Brother Waqas and Brother Haitham, they're working through that aspect of it to make sure that we are not going to be able to take any information and information be jeopardized in one way or another. So there's a lot of things happening in the background to be able to get that system up and running. But the system has been utilized by a couple of other weekend schools. We went through a demo through it, and it will, inshallah, meet our needs, bismillah.
Inshallah, inshallah. All right, so before we end this, before I give it to Sheikh Ashur to make a closing dua, Sheikh Ashur, be ready. But I just wanted to mention a couple things. One is tomorrow's program, we're going to do a live nasheed night. So people from that we know, Amar Sharaf, Yusuf Chak, and Sister Mana Ahmed, and inshallah, we'll program tomorrow. So we want the families to attend together and watch it together, inshallah. And also this gives me an opportunity to also thank the team that works behind the scenes to deliver this programming for you guys on a day-by-day basis, whether it's live or recorded. Sister Omaima Mansour, Brother Sharif Batat, Sister Heba Maqsood, and Faraz Khan. They're a stellar team. I'm very proud that I'm a part of that team and to make this, what we're providing to the community, a very good service, inshallah. So keep them in your du'as. Keep all these volunteers, all the committee members, the ones that aren't even here. There's so many that make up ISCJ. You know, we have over 20, 25 committees, all the board members, all the overseers, all our staff. Please keep them in your sincere, focused dua day by day. Keep the elderly in your duas, the ones that are sick. And, you know, forgive us for any of our shortcomings, and we'll continue to do our best to provide the services to our beloved Islamic Society of Central Jersey. I'm going to switch over to Sheikh Ashur, and Sheikh Ashur, if you can give the closing dua, we'll be very blessed with that.
Inshallah. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم اللهم إنا نسألك بأنك أنت الله لا إله إلا أنت الواحد الأحد الفرد الصمد أن تصلي على سيدنا محمد في الأولين وصلي عليه في الآخرين وفي كل وقت وحين وصلي وسلم وزد وبارك عليه في الملأ الأعلى إلى يوم الدين. اللهم اهدنا واهد بنا واجعلنا سببا لمن اهتدى. أصلح لنا ما قدمنا وما أخرنا وما أسررنا وما أعلنا وما أنت أعلم به منا. اللهم إنا نسألك الخير كله عاجله وآجله ما علمنا منه وما لم نعلم وما أنت به أعلم. اللهم إنا نسألك من خير ما سألك به عبدك ونبيك محمد صلى الله عليه وآله وسلم ونعوذ بك من شر ما استعاذ منه عبدك ونبيك محمد صلى الله عليه وآله وسلم. اللهم إنا نعوذ بك من العجز والكسل ونعوذ بك من الجبن والبخل ونعوذ بك من الهرم والقسوة ونعوذ بك من الغفلة والعيلة ونعوذ بك من الذلة والمسكنة ونعوذ بك من الفقر والكفر وعذاب القبر. اللهم إنا نعوذ بك من الشرك ونعوذ بك من الفسوق ونعوذ بك من الشقاق والنفاق والسمعة والرياء والعجب وسوء الأخلاق. اللهم إنا نعوذ بك من الصمم والبكم ونعوذ بك من الجنون والجذام والبرص وسيء الأسقام. اللهم إنا نعوذ بك من غلبة الدين وقهر الرجال. اللهم إنا نعوذ بك من زوال نعمتك وتحول عافيتك وفجاءة نقمك وجميع سخطك. اللهم إنا نعوذ بك من جهد البلاء ودرك الشقاء وسوء القضاء وشماتة الأعداء ونعوذ بك منك لا نحصي ثناء عليك أنت كما أثنيت على نفسك جل جاهك وتعالت صفاتك وأسماؤك. اللهم هب لنا من أزواجنا وذرياتنا قرة أعين واجعلنا للمتقين إماما. اللهم احفظنا من بين أيدينا ومن خلفنا وعن أيماننا وعن شمائلنا ومن فوقنا ونعوذ بعظمتك أن نغتال من تحتنا. اللهم احفظنا واحفظ أبناءنا وإخواننا وأمهاتنا وآبائنا واحفظ المسلمين في كل مكان وفي كل أرض برحمتك وفضلك ومنك وكرمك يا أرحم الراحمين. اللهم إنا نلجأ إليك ونتوسل إليك بك أن ترفع عنا البلاء وأن ترفع عنا الغمة وأن تنجينا يا رب العالمين وتردنا إليك ردا جميلا. اللهم ردنا إليك ردا جميلا وكن بنا وبالمؤمنين رؤوفا رحيما. اللهم وكن بنا وبالمؤمنين رؤوفا رحيما. اللهم وفقنا إلى عمل صالح نختم به حياتنا يا أرحم الراحمين. اللهم إذا أردت بعبادك فتنة فاقبضنا غير فاتنين ولا مفتونين. اللهم اغفر وارحم وتجاوز عما تعلم إنك أنت الأعز الأكرم. هب مسيئنا إلى محسننا واغفر لنا جملة واحدة ثم أدخلنا الجنة من غير حساب دون سابقة عقاب ولا عتاب واجعلنا من الراشدين. اللهم اجعل سرائرنا خيرا من علانيتنا واجعل علانيتنا صالحة. وصلى الله وسلم وبارك على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وأصحابه والتابعين بإحسان إلى يوم الدين. وسلام على المرسلين والحمد لله رب العالمين. سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك، أشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت، نستغفرك ونتوب إليك. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. والعصر إن الإنسان لفي خسر إلا الذين آمنوا وعملوا الصالحات وتواصوا بالحق وتواصوا بالصبر.
Thank you, ISCJ community. Assalamu alaikum, everyone.
عليكم السلام ورحمة الله وبركاته.